Right now, thousands of drivers across Australia are about to face something that could cost them hundreds of dollars in fines, and many don't even know it's happening tonight. If you park your car on the street, near a school, outside a shopping center, or even outside your own home, these new parking rules could affect you immediately. And the worst part, a lot of people will only discover the change when they find a fine on their windshield. Tonight marks the start of updated parking regulations that drivers across Australia need to understand. These rules are designed to improve safety, reduce congestion, and make streets easier to manage. But they also introduce stricter enforcement and heavier penalties in some areas. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what these new parking laws mean, where drivers are most likely to get fined, the common mistakes that could cost you money, and what you should start doing right now to avoid penalties. If you drive anywhere in Australia, this information could save you a lot of money and frustration. Welcome to Centrelink Compass AU, the channel where we break down important updates affecting Australians in clear and simple terms, so you always stay one step ahead. Let's start with the most important question many drivers are asking right now. Why are these parking laws changing? Across many Australian cities and states, local councils and road authorities have been reviewing parking systems due to growing traffic congestion, increasing population, and safety concerns around schools, pedestrian areas, and busy commercial zones. Over the past few years, authorities have noticed a sharp rise in illegal parking, double parking, and vehicles stopping in restricted areas. These issues can block emergency vehicles, create dangerous blind spots, and slow down traffic. Because of this, governments and local councils are introducing stricter parking regulations and stronger enforcement measures starting tonight. Now, one thing drivers must understand is that parking laws in Australia are often enforced by local councils, which means the exact rules can vary depending on where you live. However, many of the changes happening now follow the same overall goals. First, stricter enforcement around no stopping zones. Many drivers confuse no stopping with no parking, but they are not the same. A no stopping zone means you cannot stop your vehicle at all, even for a few seconds, unless there is an emergency. Under the updated enforcement rules, stopping briefly to drop someone off, check your phone, or wait for someone could still lead to a fine. Parking inspectors and mobile camera vehicles are increasingly monitoring these zones, especially in busy areas. Second, stronger monitoring around school zones. School areas are one of the biggest focus points of the new parking enforcement efforts. Authorities say unsafe parking near schools is a major risk for children, especially during drop-off and pickup times. Parents often stop in restricted areas, double park, or block driveways when schools become crowded. Under the new rules, enforcement officers will be increasing patrols near schools and issuing fines more quickly for violations. Drivers who stop in clearways, bus zones, or no stopping areas near schools could face significant penalties. Another major focus is parking near intersections. Many drivers park too close to corners, which reduces visibility for other vehicles and pedestrians. The law already requires drivers to park a certain distance away from intersections, but many people ignore or misunderstand this rule. Authorities are now placing greater emphasis on enforcing this requirement. Parking too close to a corner can make it difficult for drivers turning into the street to see oncoming traffic, increasing the risk of accidents. Under stricter enforcement, vehicles parked too close to intersections may be fined or even towed in some cases. Next is parking across driveways. This is one of the most common complaints local councils receive. When a vehicle blocks part or all of a driveway, the property owner may be unable to leave or enter their home. Even if the driver believes they are only blocking the driveway slightly, it is still considered an offense. With the updated enforcement starting tonight, inspectors will be more active in responding to these complaints. Drivers who block driveways could face fines and may be required to move their vehicle immediately. Another important rule many drivers overlook involves parking in loading zones. Loading zones are meant for delivery vehicles and certain authorized drivers. However, many motorists use them for quick stops when they cannot find regular parking. Under the updated enforcement focus, drivers without proper authorization may face fines if they use loading zones incorrectly. Short stops that may have been ignored in the past are now more likely to be penalized. Electric vehicle charging bays are another area receiving stricter attention. As electric vehicles become more common, dedicated charging spaces are being introduced across many cities. These spaces are specifically reserved for electric vehicles that are actively charging. Parking a non-electric vehicle in these spaces or leaving an electric vehicle parked without charging could result in penalties. Authorities say these spaces must remain available for drivers who actually need to charge their vehicles. Clearways are also a major focus of enforcement. Clearways are designed to keep traffic moving during busy periods, particularly during morning and afternoon peak hours. Parking in a clearway during restricted times can cause serious congestion. Even if you see other vehicles parked there outside the restricted hours, you must always check the signs carefully. Once the clearway period begins, vehicles left in the area may be fined or towed quickly to prevent traffic disruption. Many drivers also need to pay attention to time-limited parking zones. Parking signs often include time limits, such as 1 hour, 2 hours, or 15 minutes. Staying longer than the allowed time can result in a fine, even if you move your car slightly and return. Some areas use digital monitoring or license plate recognition technology to track how long vehicles remain in parking spaces. This means drivers cannot simply move their car forward a few meters to reset the time limit. Authorities say this technology helps ensure fair access to parking spaces in busy commercial areas. Another common mistake drivers make involves parking too far from the curb. In many places, the law requires vehicles to be parked close to the curb, usually within a certain distance. Parking too far away from the curb can block traffic and create hazards for cyclists and other vehicles. While this rule has existed for a long time, stricter enforcement means drivers may now receive fines more often for ignoring it. Double parking is another violation authorities are targeting. Double parking happens when a vehicle stops beside another parked car instead of using a proper parking space. This blocks traffic and can cause dangerous situations for cyclists and motorcyclists. Under the new enforcement approach, double parking in busy areas could lead to immediate fines. Drivers should always find a legal parking space rather than stopping temporarily beside another vehicle. So how much could these fines actually cost drivers? The amount can vary depending on the state or territory and the type of violation. However, some parking fines in Australia can exceed several $100s. In certain situations, additional penalties may apply if the violation creates a safety risk or blocks emergency access. If a vehicle is towed, the driver may also have to pay towing and storage fees before retrieving their car. That means a simple parking mistake could quickly become a very expensive problem. This is why understanding the rules before you park is so important. The easiest way to avoid parking fines is to always check the signs carefully before leaving your vehicle. Many drivers make the mistake of assuming the rules are the same everywhere, but parking restrictions can change from street to street. Look for signs that indicate time limits, permit requirements, clearway hours, and restricted zones. If multiple signs are present, read them all carefully to make sure you understand the restrictions. Another smart step is to use parking apps that provide information about parking rules in certain areas. These apps can help drivers identify legal parking zones and understand time limits. However, drivers should still rely on official street signs as the final authority. It is also important to be especially careful when parking near schools, intersections, pedestrian crossings, and bus stops. These areas often have stricter restrictions because they affect safety and traffic flow. Even if a space appears convenient, always check whether it is legally allowed. If you are unsure, it is usually safer to find another parking spot. Authorities say these updated enforcement efforts are not meant to punish drivers unnecessarily. The goal is to make streets safer for pedestrians, cyclists, and other motorists while keeping traffic moving efficiently. But for drivers who ignore the rules, the financial consequences can be significant. The key message tonight is simple. Parking rules across Australia are being enforced more strictly, and drivers who are not aware of the regulations may face costly fines. Taking a few extra seconds to read the signs and park correctly could save you hundreds of dollars. And once these enforcement efforts begin, there may be very little warning before penalties are issued. If you found this update helpful, make sure you stay informed because changes like this can happen quickly and often without much notice. Here on Centrelink Compass AU, we regularly break down important updates that affect Australians so you always know what's happening and what it means for you. If you want to stay updated on important rules, benefits, and government changes that could affect your daily life, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. And before you leave, let me know in the comments, have you ever received a parking fine that you thought was unfair? Your experience could help other drivers avoid the same mistake. Thanks for watching. Stay safe on the road, and I'll see you in the next update right here on Centrelink Compass AU.